Go ahead, Steve.
How you doing?
Good.
Any word on McAvoy? I know he left early there.
I just bumped into Frederick. I think he chipped a tooth, Steve, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Otherwise, he was fine. So he's going to the dentist. Obviously, have an update later today, and hopefully he's good to go tomorrow.
Okay. And just the lines that you had out there today, is that what you hope to go with on Wednesday, or is that just might be different?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting Jake integrated. You know, we're looking at 5-on-5 scoring is improved, but still got to get some guys going. So we moved a few pieces around without, you know, trying to disrupt too much. Had conversations with, you know, Charlie, Coyle, and Kretsch, and, you know, how it was working out with their wingers. We used different guys. Freddie has played with Crowley, Wagner. He's played with, obviously, Coyle and Smith. So for Freddie, it's just a matter of playing his game every day, no matter what line he's on, you know, getting the habit of shooting the puck a little more, even in practice. So Coyle at times has preferred speed on his line. So we've mixed and matched with him. Again, we're trying to build 5-on-5 scoring into our group. And we knew that we'd have to mess around with some lines early on. So here we are. So we'll see how these work out on Wednesday and go from there.
Are you, with Jake not having played in a while, are you more hesitant to use him on the right side, you know, first off?
That'll be up to Jake, because we've used Bjork over there, so they've kind of alternated. Jake will probably play left and Bjork on the right, you know, with Coyle to start. Again, he could go up with Kretsch, obviously played a lot there. Could go up on the right with Kretsch, could go on the left. You know, Kretsch has often preferred a right shot on his line. So, I mean, there's some different things we're factoring in. And someone has to play their offside with studs and cash out, just the way it is. We just don't have enough right shots unless we put Coyle up there. And we don't want to do that. So that's the hand we're dealt right now. And I think in today's game, honestly, Steve, there's guys tend to move around a little more than before. Obviously, catching passes on your offside, and there's some challenges on the wall. But either way, Jake was playing the right side with Berge and Marsh. So I think he'll be okay over there if that's what we end up doing.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Connor Ryan, followed by Joe Haggerty.
Hey, Bruce. Looking back at around 2017 when Grzelcyk was first getting some looks up in the NHL, what were kind of your first impressions of him as a player? And now a few years later, have there been any parts of his game or development that has maybe surprised you a bit in terms of what he brings out on the ice?
He was too passive when he first got here. We had that conversation with him that as a smaller guy, he had to impact the game offensively with his foot speed and his skills. Not necessarily scoring, but transition game. You know, if you remember back then, we felt we could improve our attack from the back end everywhere just by playing faster. He was going to be a part of that. So that was a conversation with him. And I remember we went out and played an exhibition game in Chicago. I think it was our last exhibition game. He was lights out. He just played hockey. He was a little more free. Went down to Providence, was our first, I don't want to say first recall in the back end because that might not be accurate, but we knew that, you know, when the time dictated, we were going to give him a look and if he could play like that. And that was the reminder to him all the time. And I think he's built that into his game slowly. It's a bit of confidence there. You don't want to screw up. You know, one of the first things you do as a defenseman, you come up, you don't want to get scored on. You want to make big mistakes. So I think there was a bit of that went into it. So for him, it was just getting it out of him, empowering him a little bit. And he kind of took off with it. Then he became a little more of a good defender with his stick against certain types that we just learned over time with the right partner, who happened to be Kevin Miller at the time. So, but I think the first thing he did was you know, up his motor in terms of driving offense through neutral zone transition and certainly some breakouts. And, you know, so I don't know if that surprised me necessarily, Connor. It's something we had to get out of him. And was in him in college and just had to sort of get him out of him as a pro and have him feel comfortable with that type of game.
Thanks.
Go next to Joe Haggerty, followed by Dan Roach.
Hey, Butchie, just based on health with Grzelcyk back and health on the back end and what we saw at practice today, it seems like if Grzelcyk's in, Cliffy goes back to being the spare. Just how difficult the decision is that to make based on the way Cliffy has played since Grzelcyk's been out?
Well, the good news is the guys on the left side have been solid. So there's been no discussion here saying, well, they're not ready. They're not handling it. They're regressing. I think they've certainly had games where they've been better than other nights, but for the most part, been fairly consistent. We figured it would take, I was asked that question at the start of the year, well, how long, probably a good 10 games before he can truly evaluate a team. Where are you in terms of the rest of the group? Are you healthy, or, the goaltending, all that stuff. And we've been, pretty, obviously missed a few guys here or there, but for the most part had our team. Goalies have been in every night, either Yarrow or Tuca. So we're going to get that part of it. So that's where the thinking comes from, putting him back with Johnny Moore today. How hard is it? It's no fun, but he's such a terrific guy. And so is Johnny Moore, for that matter, that they make my job easier. I'm not going to lie. And I'm thankful for that and grateful. We have a lot of guys like that, which what makes us a good locker room. But when, he just got to stay ready. That's usually the message to him. And I told him that you might go in the left side, might be the right side. In this case happened to be the left side. So he took some reps over there, did a great job for us. So it's a good problem to have, to be honest with you.
Thanks, Butchie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. We have time for two more. We'll go to Dan Roach and then Joe McDonald. Go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Bruce, or afternoon now. What'd you think of Brady last night?
I thought he was outstanding. I guess I should stick to hockey, right? I thought Kansas City would be better. I guess I didn't watch a ton of football this year. I just thought they had the better team, but certainly Tampa's defensive line was a lot better than I probably gave him credit for going into this game. And Mahomes looked a little bit hurt to me too, running around. So I don't know if that was going in. I knew he got hit a few weeks ago, but anyway, good for Tom. He looked great. Gronk, target looked great. Full value for the win, I would say.
And just
I got to tell you, I didn't love the officiating and all the, I guess, pass interference. Some of those calls I thought all went against Kansas City, didn't help them. But at the end of the day, they're probably still going to lose the game no matter what. But
do coaches ever like officiating?
No, I don't. And it was more the pass interference one. I think the offside and the field goal was just a bad mistake by Kansas City, and it was the right call. But some of the ones, it seemed to be all going against Kansas City, and they got themselves in trouble at the end of the first half. It seemed like, and I don't know, kind of snowballed. But anyway, good for Tampa.
My question is about kind of following what Hag said. Where are you with what you've seen from kind of your depth as you try to grow it throughout the season, and kind of talking about Clifton and those and some of the younger guys, what they've been able to do and accomplish so far?
Well, that's a credit to the people that do the scouting and pro scouts and Donnie to identify some players that can come in that can play Bruins hockey and plug them in. And we've seen that over the years here in different capacities of our fourth line, our 6th, 7th, 8th defensemen. So that credit to them. We just have to get them ready. They're good, hardworking guys, but you need it. I don't think you're going to have to get lucky not to rely on depth to help you in difficult stretches. And we've had those over the years here. We've had to plug different guys in, and like I said, we're grateful to have those guys that can go in and even practice hard, not become a problem. The last thing you need on a team is a guy that's a problem that's not even in the lineup, right? So we don't have any of those issues. So that's been good. Cliffy, John Moore, I can go right down the list. The young kids up front that work hard. Lindholm, who's a bit of an older guy, McKegg now. They're just going out there working hard, waiting for their chance. Cooley and Bleed are younger, but they always want to, work hard to get noticed that way in practice. And I think that makes you a better team when you have competition, pushing from below and pushing up. It keeps everyone else on their toes. So it's been a good thing here for not just this year. I think 3 or 4 years now, we've really kind of grown that into our culture here, and it's made us a better team.
We'll take our final question from Joe McDonald.
Hey, Butch, just back to Grizz for a second. I know this isn't probably the start that he was looking for, given, the setbacks here injury-wise, but, is he the type of player that you think maybe would have benefited a little more from if there had been preseason games?
I don't know, Joe, because you'd think the smaller guys, they tend to be, and the quicker guys tend to be a little bit ahead because, they're not the sort of those big diesel trains that take a while to get going. So I don't know the answer to that. I would have thought, and he was here, he was working, skating. So I think it's just a little tough luck for him out of the gate. we'll have to keep an eye on it, obviously, and a condensed schedule. I think we do have some breaks built in. We're just going through one right now out of, just out of, the COVID protocols that, have affected other teams really through no fault of our own. So it gives him a bit of a break and some other guys to keep an eye on. I know it's going to catch up with you somewhere down the road, I assume, but that's something that Grizz has fought a bit throughout his career. Was pretty good there for a while, I thought, where he played through a lot of stuff, was able to stay in the lineup. Hopefully this is it for him. A couple of, small bumps and bruises early on where he's able to stay in the lineup every night. I guess the only thing with us, Joe, for him is we got to manage sometimes his competitiveness and talk to him about putting himself in bad spots. And, players never want to show a lack of courage, right? So they're always going to go in there, and Grizz certainly falls into that category. He's going to go in and get a puck, where sometimes you're going to have to, and not use the word bail, but you're going to have to protect yourself and go in a little bit differently. And those are some things we've talked to him about, but I'm not even sure these injuries, the one he went into the boards, I think he just lost an edge or something to that effect. So there's nothing he could do about that. So it's how you get injured too, is sometimes how you keep an eye on a player. And I think there's been a bit of tough luck for him here early on.